So ladies and gentlemen, it's that time of the year where transfer news is circulating and rumors and breaking news about which players Manchester United might potentially be signing. In particular, ladies and gentlemen, there are two players that have been rumored to be going to Manchester United, and these are Liam Delap and Cunha. So hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel, Football with Priscilla. I'm Priscilla, obviously. So hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. And ladies and gentlemen, it's the transfer news galore. Rumors, updates, breaking news about which players Manchester United will potentially be buying. Now, obviously, out of all the players that are linked to Manchester United, because there are a lot, there are two names that are making more noise. And these are Liam Delap and Cunha. So today, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to give my thoughts on these two players, having watched clips on YouTube, because where else are we going to see these players' skills? But before we get into the video for today, make sure you share, like, and subscribe. Make sure you share, like, and subscribe, and do turn your notifications on, ladies and gentlemen, to know when next I post a video. Does it seem like I'm speaking fast? I'm actually speaking fast because I have Bible study after this, so I have to get this out of the way. Now, so ladies and gentlemen, rumors have been circulating that Manchester United want to buy strikers, and there is news saying that Manchester United this summer might be prioritizing forward players. Now, obviously, like I said in the beginning of this video, Liam Delap and Cunha are the names that have been mentioned. So we're going to start first talking about Cunha, because he looks like he's the one who's most likely to go to Manchester United. Fabrizio Romano has talked about how the Cunha to Manchester United deal is almost done, and many news outlets have also been reporting the same. So first of all, ladies and gentlemen, Cunha plays for Wolves, okay? Cunha plays for Wolves. Now, I went to scour the internet, and by the internet, I meant YouTube, because I do not pay attention to Wolves games, okay? I'm not seated watching Wolves and trying to see what Cunha is doing. Now that I hear that, obviously, he might be going to Manchester United, I'm a little bit more concentrating on him, but before then, I had no idea that this guy existed. Anyway, so I go on YouTube, because where else are we going to get the truth about players than YouTube, which, oh my God, has been a lie. YouTube has lied to all of us. It's sad. Okay. So here are my thoughts on Cunha. First of all, I think Cunha is a good player. I think from all the videos that I've seen about him and some games that I've watched, he's an okay player. I also think that a lot of people have overhyped the guy. I'm not saying he's a bad player. I'm just thinking he's a little bit somewhat overhyped. Now, ladies and gentlemen, before you come at me, two things can be true at the same time, okay? Always remember this. So, what I've noticed about Cunha is he's a good player, but he's slightly overhyped. The other thing I've noticed is he seems like a player who thrives very well in a team that has a system. Red flag already, okay? He seems like he's a good player that thrives in a team that has got a system. We'll go back to that point. Also, he's quite pacey. I could see he's not afraid to go at defenders. He's very direct. He's strong. He's able to fight off defenders. And he has the best advantage of them all. He plays in the Premier League, so he understands the league. He understands the pace of the league. He understands the physicality of the league. He understands how intense the Premier League can be. So you know what? That's a plus for Cunha. Now, let's go back to my point of which I was talking about, the fact that Cunha looks like he's a system-based player who would thrive in a system. Every time I see this, I look at Manchester United, and I'm praying that when Cunha comes to Manchester United, Ruben Amorim would have established a system, because players like Cunha, if he comes to Manchester United that does not have a system, boy, will we make that player look below average. Like, I can already see it. I'm seeing Cunha coming to a Manchester United that has no system, and after 3 months, he's not scored goal, he's not able to create, and all Manchester United fans start turning at him and saying he's average, he's average, he's average. Cunha is a player that plays best in a team that has a system. When you look at Wolves, they defend together, they attack together. They are always intense. They are always running as a unit. They are not one player type of club, okay? And that is why Cunha can thrive. In most of the games that I watched, most of the videos that I watched, it was because he was playing, the system was working, okay? The system was working, therefore he knew when to go forward, when to step back. He knew which position he would be, because his other friend would have gone forward or would have crossed the ball. So you could see that Wolves have a system. Therefore, a player like Cunha can thrive. Now, the other player that I want to talk about, ladies and gentlemen, is Cunha and Delap. Now, this is a player that I had no clue existed, like every other player that Manchester United buys. So, ladies and gentlemen, Cunha and Delap is an English footballer, 22 years of age, and he plays for Ipswich Town, number 19. These are my thoughts on Cunha and Delap. Now, ladies and gentlemen, Cunha and Delap has got good pace, right? He's got good pace. He's not the fastest, but he's got good pace. He's strong and he can hold up the ball up front. Another thing that I noticed is he's clinical at goal, and he's not afraid to run at defenders. He's very direct. Is one thing I noticed. He's not afraid to take on defenders. Now, when I was looking at the videos for Cunha and Delap, they looked very, very familiar to videos of a certain player that I watched last season before we bought him. Can you, ladies and gentlemen, guess which player that is? Ding, 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 Rasmus Højlund. Exactly the same videos I watched of Rasmus Højlund was the videos that I was watching of Cunha and Delap. And I will say this, I am absolutely not convinced by this kid. I am not convinced at all. First of all, I'm not saying he's a bad player, okay? Get it correct. I am not saying Delap is a bad player. I am saying he's very similar to a Rasmus Højlund. And just like Cunha, I feel like if we bring Delap into a Manchester United that does not have a system, he is at risk of becoming the next Rasmus Højlund, a target for all of us football fans. Delap is no different from Rasmus Højlund. Like, there was nothing that I saw that I was like, oh my god, this is different from what we have. Okay? Difference with Rasmus and most of these other strikers is Rasmus is an inbox striker. He's your traditional number 9. He's a goal poacher. He will be found in and around the 18-yard area. Delap is not that. Delap is like a Xerxes. Delap is like Cunha. Delap is like Garnacho. He will bring the pace. He will run at defenders, but he will most definitely not give you the header goals, but he will most definitely not give you a poacher's goal. That's the only thing that I think is different, Rasmus Højlund and the rest of the strikers that Manchester United have. So, ladies and gentlemen, talking about this takes me into my third point, okay? Cunha, Delap are profiles of strikers that Manchester United already have. So my question is, why are we going for these particular forward players when that is what we already have? We have Xerxes, Cunha. I don't know, maybe Cunha is more driven than these others, but it's the same thing. Cunha is going to be bringing the same thing that Rashford has, the same thing that Xerxes has, Garnacho had, Ahmad has, somehow of Rasmus Højlund. Delap is also going to bring the same thing. They are not bringing anything different. The only person that brings something different is actually Rasmus Højlund. Rasmus is the type of person who will position himself in the 18-yard area at least. The rest, these guys are forward players that will run at defenders. So my thing is, why are we going for the same profile of players as Manchester United? Why aren't we, I would think, or I would assume, would go for a profile of a player who is a traditional number 9. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, when we had Cavani brought something so different to Manchester United because he was scoring headers, he was scoring tap-ins, which is not something that we had. But with Cavani, he brought that. Cristiano Ronaldo brought that. We don't have a striker that can bring that. And I would argue to say Manchester United actually need that type of striker. Unless, okay, when you look at it from Ruben Amorim's system, which is the 3-4-3, maybe he wants runners, he wants players with pace, and he doesn't want the traditional ball-in, header, tap-in type of striker. That could be argued in that way. But I would argue as well that we need that type of striker. Hence why, when we are losing games, we ask for Harry Maguire to go up front. Because now we are playing long balls and hoping for a header. Have you realized that it's Harry Maguire and Casemiro that scores headers? The rest of our strikers don't do that. Like, you will find in a season or in 4 years or in 3 years, our strikers have only scored 2 headers. Why aren't we going for a profile of a complete striker, not a runner? Is what I don't know. Like, that is what is in my mind. I'm not saying that any of these players that Manchester United want will not add anything to Manchester United. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is we're going for the same type of striker that we already have, and hoping that this striker will be driven and will not be caught up in the spirit of Manchester United and just go crazy. That's what I'm thinking here. But ladies and gentlemen, it's the same thing. We're doing the exact same thing. Why we're not going for a different? Oshmeni is the same thing as well. Like, maybe he might potentially try and be in the 18-yard area, but all the strikers that we're going for are practically the same. So, ladies and gentlemen, those are my thoughts on Cunha as well as Cunha and Delap. And ladies and gentlemen, a bit of good news. I read that Amad Diallo might be returning, if not this week, next week in training from his horrific injury, which kept him out for some time. So that's good news. Amad might be returning. Also, ladies and gentlemen, Mino might be signing a new deal with Manchester United. I know there's been a lot of anxiety towards his contract talks. He hasn't yet signed a new contract, so there are talks and negotiations about his new contract, and it looks good for us that he might be signing. Some other good news, ladies and gentlemen, you are going to call me a hater, and I don't care. I will hate for as long as I can. It looks like Mason Mount might potentially be leaving Manchester United. Finally, yes, I am happy about that news. Call me a Mason Mount hater. I don't care. I'm not a Mason Mount hater. Till today, no one has ever told me the reason why we bought Mason Mount. I have never understood that signing. Frankly, it's been crazy. But I'm absolutely delighted that we might potentially be selling Mason Mount. Yes, let's make money off him. Ladies and gentlemen, bad news. Dalot seems to have an injury, and there's a fear that this injury might keep him out for the rest of the entire season. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's not Manchester United if we don't have a bit of both bad and good news. So yeah, so that's what I had for you guys today. I just wanted us to talk about the potential new Manchester United signings and the people that are returning and going into injury. Yeah, it's absolutely crazy. So that's what I had for you guys today. Do comment down in the comment section, ladies and gentlemen, your thoughts on Cunha and Delap. I would love to hear all your thoughts. So that's what I had for you guys today. Thank you so much, guys, for watching. Make sure you share, like, and subscribe. Make sure you share, like, and subscribe, and do turn your notifications on, ladies and gentlemen, to know when next I post a video.